viewers, welcome to my channel. Before I start this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell for more updates. So, let's start reading Lost on the Titanic by Jessica Rinker. Saturday Stranger. The last thing Allie and Vic Taylor wanted to do on Saturday morning was clean, but they helped their parents in the shop anyway, just like they did every weekend. The out-of-time antique store on the corner of 3rd and Spruce in Philadelphia was the family business, and the whole family kept it running. Allie polished a silver tea set while Vic dusted off an old violin. Their black and white puppy, Luna, who was very good for petting but not so good at fetching, walked all around the store. She would walk around their legs and under the table and lick Allie's feet. Allie laughed while keeping her eyes on the little silver cup in her hands as she cleaned it. Mom had warned her to be careful with this set. Mom was hoping to find the teapot to go with it, but Allie hadn't found it in the pile of stuff yet. While she worked, Luna's sweet brown eyes and wiggly tail were begging Allie to take her out. "Vic, can you take Luna for her walk?" Allie asked. As much as she loved Luna, she had been the one to take her out. The last 3 times, and they were supposed to take turns. "You take her. I'm doing an important job and can't be interrupted," said Vic. Allie sighed and set down the cup. Big brothers were so bossy. Even when they were only 1 year older, Allie reached for Luna's leash. But just as she did, the little bell on the door chimed. A customer? They hadn't had a customer in weeks. But it was only Vic's best friend, Max. "Hi, Vic," Max said. "Want to go to the park?" "He can't," said Allie. "He's doing a very important job and can't be interrupted." Vic crossed his arms and shook his head. Allie gave him a sweet smile. Luna barked at them both. Max laughed. "Whose side are you on?" Vic asked Max. "Luna's," he said, grinning. Max sat on the floor and patted Luna to settle her down. "What's the important job?" "Mom had a doctor appointment, and Dad had to run to the store for parts for furnace. It stopped working again last night," Vic said. "So we're helping them clean up their latest load of..." Allie waved her hand toward the table, overflowing with objects of all sizes and colors. "Junk?" asked "Junk?" Max asked. "Don't let them hear you say that," Vic said. "They're hoping something in here will be worth a lot of money," Allie said. She wasn't sure how an old bowl or teapot could be worth enough to replace their furnace or take care of any other problem in the building, which always seemed to have problems, but she hoped her parents were right. The last thing she wanted to do was move out of their home, which was right above the shop. She'd lived there her whole life, and she loved walking to school and the park and the sandwich shop around the corner. Allie couldn't imagine ever living anywhere else, but she overheard her parents many times talking about how hard it was to afford living there. She'd do anything she could help, even Saturday morning chores. "I'll help," Max offered, giving Luna one last belly rub. "It'll get done quicker, and then we can all go to the park." Vic handed Max a rag and some polish. "If you say so." Luna laid down in a huff under the table. "Sorry, girl," Allie said. "We'll go out soon, I promise." Just as they got back to work, the bell on the door chimed again. This time it was a real customer. Luna barked and barked. It had been a long time since a stranger had walked through the door. Vic held her collar so she wouldn't jump on the only customer they had had in days. The woman was tall and had long brown hair done up in a style unlike anything Allie had ever seen before. She wore a purple dress, a green cloak, and tall black boots. She had a red bag strapped around her waist. But what really stood out were her honey-colored eyes. Something about the woman was familiar, but Allie couldn't quite figure out what. "Can we help you?" Allie asked. "I'm looking for Allison and Victor Taylor," the woman said. She had an accent that none of the kids recognized. Do you know them? I'm Victor, but everyone calls me Vic. And this is my sister, Allie." "Do you mean you want to talk to our parents?" "No," the woman said. A large smile spread across her face. "I came to see you two." "And you," she pointed at Max. "Me?" Max said. "Why me?" "Because this involves all three of you and your futures. My name is Juniper. I have something important to give you." But before she could finish explaining, Luna began barking and laughing at her again. "Luna, quiet," Vic said. "Sorry, she's usually not like this." He tried to hold on to her, but Luna pulled away from Vic's hands and jumped right on the woman, nearly knocking her over. Something round and glowing fell from the woman's hands with a loud thunk. It jingled as it rolled across the floor. All three kids grabbed for it, but no one could move quicker than Luna. She gobbled up the glowing ball in one gulp. Chapter 2, The Infinity Spinner. "Luna!" Vic yelled. "No!" "It's too late," Allie said. She tried to look in Luna's mouth. She swallowed it. "Hey, at least Luna's fetched," said Max. "Fetching usually involves bringing the ball back," Juniper said. Allie couldn't tell if she was angry or making a joke, but she looked worried. "Excuse me, ma'am, but what was that thing?" Allie asked. She imagined all kinds of bad things happening to Luna. It was glowing. "It's not going to explode, is it?" She wrapped her arms around Luna. No, Juniper sighed, as if she saw this sort of things every day. "Nothing of the sort. Luna will be just fine. Fine. I don't think it's good for her to swallow anything whole," Vic said. "We should probably take her to the VET." He had to spell it because Luna hated going to the veterinarian, and she'd run and hide if she heard him say the word out loud. Good idea, said Juniper, because we need that infinity spinner back. The sooner the better. I have a lot to teach you. Allie looked at Vic, who looked at Max. What's an infinity spinner? Max asked. And will it do something bad to Luna? Allie asked. It won't do anything, at least not on its own. It's like a GPS that works in time and space, Juniper said, but it can't fall into the wrong hands. She looked at Luna, or stomachs. Juniper must have been able to tell that Allie wasn't believing any of this, because she said, I know it sounds crazy, but your future depends on us getting that spinner back. What is that supposed to mean? Vic asked. I will explain everything once the vet... Shh, Vic said. She knows that word. He covered Luna's ears with his hands. I'll explain everything once the VET helps Luna. I promise, but we don't have a lot of time to waste, said Juniper. Allie ran over to her parents' desks and found the vet's number. Her hands were shaking, so Vic took the phone and made the call. When he told them it was an emergency, Allie's heart felt like it was beating extra hard. If only she had taken Luna out earlier, none of this would have happened to Luna. None of this would have happened. Luna was only a puppy. She didn't know any better. Everything will be okay, Max. Everything will be okay. Max brought the leash to Allie. Allie attached it to Luna's collar, and all 5 of them left the little shop on the corner. We walked to the VET all the time, Allie told Juniper. She gets into a lot of trouble. Juniper laughed. I know. Max raised his eyebrows at Allie. She shrugged. Maybe Juniper had seen them walking to the vet before. She didn't care. She just wanted Luna to be safe. Luna seemed to be feeling fine, but when they got closer to the vet, the dog realized where they were going. She began bouncing and barking. Luna pulled so hard she nearly dragged Allie off the sidewalk. Juniper tried to help, but before she could, Luna twisted just right and slipped out of her collar. She ran down the sidewalk and away from the vet, dashing between people as she went. Luna! All three kids yelled and chased after her. Juniper yelled for them to wait for her, but they kept going. They had to stop Luna from running away, or worse, running into traffic. Max was the fastest, sprinting ahead of Vic and Allie. Luna looked back at them twice, but she just kept running. It looked like she was even smiling at them, enjoying the chase. Luna! Allie pretended that she had something in her hand. Treat! Genius, Max said. Luna stopped running. She turned to them. She sniffed the sidewalk. She sniffed a man's shoe. That someone had stopped to help. All three kids ran toward him, but he had a smile on his face that wasn't entirely friendly, and he was wearing a long cloak like Juniper's, only it looked like it was made out of something like tin foil, which didn't make any sense in the middle of the afternoon. Actually, it didn't make any sense at all. Allie did not like the look on his face, and she wanted her puppy back. No, Juniper yelled when she saw him, startling everyone. The man let go of Luna and ran. Luna went right on sniffing. Who was that? Vic asked. Just get the dog, Juniper yelled. Fast! And Luna started chasing her tail. What in the world is she doing? Allie asked. I think she forgot about the VET, Max said. Now's her chance to catch her, Allie said. They snuck up on Luna as she spun 5 times, happily playing with her own tail like it was the very first time she'd seen it. But just as Vic was about to grab her, they were blinded by a flash of light, and the 3 of them were lifted off their feet, and everything seemed to spin. The last thing Allie heard was Juniper yelling, Wait! When the flash of light was gone, and the spinning stopped, Allie rubbed her eyes. They were no longer standing on a sidewalk in the city. They were in the middle of the ocean, on the deck of a very large ship. Chapter 3. All aboard! Allie grabbed the railing. Luna was nowhere in sight. Allie tried not to panic, but Luna was still so young. How would she know what to do on a ship? How would they know what to do on a ship? This had to be some kind of strange dream. Allie stared at the enormous stacks above them. Max leaned over the railing and peered at the ragging waves beneath the ship. The air was very cold and damp. It made Allie's nose and throat hurt a little. Max was the first to speak. What just happened? I'm not sure, said Vic, but I think we're on an ocean liner. One of these huge ships that used to carry people across the Atlantic. It looks like we're on the Titanic, Allie whispered. It looks like we're on the Titanic, Allie whispered. Although she was worried about Luna, history was Allie's favorite subject, and she couldn't help but be amazed at what she saw. She learned about the Titanic in school, and this ship looked like a page right out of her textbook. But there was no way they could be standing on the deck of a ship that had sunk more than 100 years ago. Yes, Vic said, exactly like the Titanic. But he looked like he didn't believe what he was saying. He also looked a little scared. That worried Allie. Vic was never afraid of anything. That's not possible, Max said, as a man wearing a top hat and a long coat came toward them, looking at the 3 of them like they were creatures from another planet. As the man walked past, Max reached up and tapped the man's hat. Max! Allie grabbed his arm. Fortunately, the well-dressed man kept walking. I know it's not possible, But we're looking at it, Vic said. 1 second you were trying to catch Luna, and the next we're standing here. Her spinning must have sent us here, Allie said. Her spinning and that spinner stuck inside her. Allie thought about poor Luna, lost on this huge ship all by herself. The poor pup had never ever seen the ocean. Just like Juniper said, a GPS for time and space, Max said. What if she was telling the truth? What if it turned Luna into a portal of some sort? Where is Luna? Allie asked. She looked down at the deck in both directions, and all she saw were people in the distance. The ship was so big, it was like looking down several city blocks. It's freezing. We have to find her and get home. How do you suppose we do that? Max asked. Swim? Allie hugged herself to keep warm. If we're right, and Luna's a portal and chasing her tail got us here, chasing her tail again has to get us back, right? Neither of the boys answered. They walked the deck for a while, looking for the black and white dog. They passed lifeboats hanging above the deck and large red and white flotation rings. Everywhere they looked, there were doors and passageways leading off the deck. Allie might have actually enjoyed exploring the massive ship if she weren't so worried about Luna and getting home. Every once in a while, they called Luna's name, but there was no sign of her, and Allie wasn't sure if Luna would even be able to hear them over the crashing waves and groaning ship engines. She also wondered if maybe Luna hadn't made it to the ship in the first place. Maybe she'd spun off somewhere else. Maybe the three of them were stuck there. If Vic was right and this was the Titanic, they were in very big trouble. As they turned the corner near the front of the ship, a man dressed in a white cap and black jacket with lots of buttons stopped them. Allie knew he had to be part of the crew. His name tag said, Officer Lowe. What are you kids doing up here? Officer Lowe asked. He had a British accent. His nose was red from the cold. Get back to quarters. This section is for first-class passengers only. The officer stood still, blocking their way. Allie saw a few people behind him. Women dressed in full ruffled gowns and men dressed in all black. No one was wearing jeans or sweatshirts like she and the boys were. Everyone looked elegant and old-fashioned like the people in the antique photographs her parents never sold. But there was still no sign of Luna. Sir, Allie asked, what is the name of the ship? Officer Lowe looked at her like she was trying to start trouble. Little lady, unless you are a stowaway, you know perfectly well you're on board the unsinkable Titanic. Now off you go. Get back to third class where you and the other ruffians belong. Yes, sir, Vic said, trying to pull his sister and best friend along. We're leaving. Sorry to bother you. Vic and Al and Max turned and quickly walked back in the direction they'd come from. Well, I think we now know for sure what the infinity spinner does, Vic said. He stopped walking and pointed to one of the flotation rings. What? Asked Max, but Allie already saw what Vic was pointing at. Printed on the side was RMS Titanic. There was no doubt now Juniper's infinity spinner had made them travel through time and space, and it had landed them on the deck of the Titanic. This is not good, Max said, shaking his head. Not good at all. Way worse than the VET. We gotta find Luna, and fast, Allie said. This ship's enormous, Vic said. Where do we start? If I know anything about Luna, said Max, it's that she loves to eat. Allie nodded. Yes, the kitchen. We have to find the kitchen. I think it's called a galley on a ship. And on a ship this big, Allie thought, there were probably several. She had learned that the Titanic had many levels of living quarters, and she guessed that each one probably had its own galley. and one of them would be Luna's personal puppy paradise. We have to start somewhere, she said, pushing open a door that led into a long, bright, warm passageway. Let's follow our noses. What's an antique store? Allie and Vic spend a lot of time in out-of-time antiques, their parent shop in Philadelphia. The word antiques usually refers to things that are at least 100 years old, along with silver tea sets. Antique stores may sell everything from jewelry to furniture to old toys and photos. Antique store owners find items in a variety of places, including auctions and garage sales. They need to know a lot about history so they can figure out where each object came from and how much it is worth. Sometimes items aren't as old as they look. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel, give a like, and hit the notification bell for more updates. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!